Hello. In the last lecture we discussed few parameters and dimensions which under the development control which is required to specify the buildability of a plot or of a area based on the land use plan. So, today we will discuss the requirement of the housing infrastructure and services, and we will focus on transportation and roads, since this discussion will be continuing for 2-3 lectures. So, for today we will give an overview how it works in a city, and we will focus on a transportation part. So, before we go to the lecture, let us have a quick recap. So, last day what we mentioned in the discussion that we started from the land use plan. So, outcome of the land use is basically we discussed that it is land use and density, and in the land use there are gross, net and city level land use. So, after the land use and density is framed, then we make several development controls in terms of FSI, then ground coverage, height, then urban design element. Okay. So, many things we do as a development control. So, also we discussed that the FSI is the buildability of the plot, and the factor which determines FSI is basically the infrastructure, which qualifies a raw land or agricultural land as a buildable land or developed land for housing development. So, to go for the further strategic element of the housing development in a city, let us discuss the infrastructure element of the planning. Now, also we discussed last day that how FSI, ground coverage, height and urban design elements are related. We saw that in overview of the discussion, we saw that these elements are required to define the outer envelope of the building, so that it looks good, so that it becomes durable, it becomes long duration, it becomes homogeneous and harmonious to overall context. That is the objective of the discussion. And another point also we discussed that the FSI and the density, these two are basically the relation related directly proportional, but we maintain the FSI with a variable density by creating different type of housing units for different economic groups, for example higher income group, lower income group or economically weaker section. So, to determine the FSI, maximum FSI or maximum density, the infrastructure is a very important input, because more the compact infrastructure, more the number of people living in the same area, more the requirement of the infrastructure. So, it is very important to understand the types of infrastructure and services, how they play in a given area. So, we discussed about the gross land use and net land use. I thought that let me show you one typical example how we represent gross and net land use. This is a land use plan. Here you can see that this particular chunk is shown as a the yellow area as a gross land use, and when you blow up this area after the land subdivision, which we discussed in the last 2-3 lectures back, that after the land subdivision we have the internal layouts, the internal roads, collector and the local roads, the green areas, everything. So, this particular here we can show the each and every plot as a net land use. So, these are the different how we represent the net and the gross land use. So, objective of the housing infrastructure is to create the basic infrastructure, so that we can provide facilities and amenities and we can deliver accountable service. So, what are the meaning of these terms? Now, let us see. When we discussed various dimensions of house, any housing, we saw that it is multiple units, there should be a community and there should be some essential services including livelihood and which should be affordable and individual attention should be there. And so service is very important part for any housing development. We are not going into much details, though we discussed this. So, what is an infrastructure? So, why infrastructures are important in overall planning and development? So, what are the expectations from the planner infrastructure planning, and what are the key competencies required for a planner to deal with the infrastructure, and who are the other contributors in the infrastructure planning? So, infrastructure though itself is a separate very important subject where engineers, planners and the architects they work in this field, but as a housing planner, as a policy planner also, you should have some basic element of knowledge for the infrastructure planning as well. So, infrastructure basically is required to provide some basic services which we need for day to day living, like to perform daily basic human physiological need like cooking food, disposing garbage, taking drinking water, having sanitation, the services like that, and to have the basic elements to perform like living activity, shopping, health and health facility, to have the safety and security, CCTV system, security systems, mixed land use, barrier free design. These are some features to which to ensure the safety and security, to have the special the space for the social need, to playing, friends, parks, community and space and room. So, this and also to have physical comforts and easiness for self and the family, like say home delivery, doctor on call, intercom facility, generator backup. So, these are the services which is required for daily living, but services, where from the services will come? So, services basically comes when some basic investment in the infrastructure is there. For example, for drinking water, unless until you have a robust system of water treatment plant, the collection facility, the distribution facility and the recovery facility, you do not have the water system. Unless you have the garbage collection, distribution and the disposal facility, you cannot have the proper garbage facility. So, these are the outcome or the final product or final benefit what we get from the infrastructure provided at the township level or the city. So, now let us discuss the basic terms. So, the infrastructure is the physical element of any services like road and access, treatment plants, drainage system etc., which is physical, you can see, you can touch, you can feel and which delivers some basic amenities and services like this. So, services are basically which you can enjoy day to day basis like water supply, electric supply, garbage disposal, cleaning of drains, all these are services which is coming from the infrastructure. Then facilities, apart from the infrastructure and services, there are facilities like the playground, parks, security systems, water body, community hall etc. So, facilities are also required to improve your quality of life, to improve your the quality of living. And there are some amenities which is by and large limited to inside your apartment, inside your living unit. There can be various types of amenities including hot and cold water supply, generator backup, home delivery, doctor on call. So, many amenities could be provided by a housing project. So, we provide the infrastructure and facilities at various levels of development, starting from the city to the local or the unit level. For example, this is the land use level. At the city level we provide the facilities. Then at the building or the block level we can provide some facilities. So, here the number of population will be more. So, and it can be distributed over a few blocks like this. So, here the population will be less, and then the dwelling unit level and the individual room level. So, try to understand that at the city level the infrastructure and at the room level or the building level infrastructures are different. Let us take an example. At the city level, a large stadium or large playground or large large library can be a good facility, whereas at the building level the security block or a water supply system or any at the room level the 24/7 water supply or hot and cold water and the room heating and cooling facility could be good facility at the room level. So, based on the hierarchy and the level of the development from the city to the unit level or the room level, the level and the size of these facilities differ, and we plan accordingly. So, we divide the infrastructure into two major part. One is physical infrastructure, which we told that physical infrastructure's manifestation is primarily physical, where you can see, you can touch, basically road transport, water supply, sewerage, drainage, electricity, waste management, telephone, gas supply. And the social infrastructure, and also we call it as the facilities, the social infrastructure or facilities like education facilities, school, college, etc., health facilities, recreational facilities, post and telegraph, police station, fire station, petrol pump, the burning heart, the playground. Now, please try to understand that the physical infrastructure does not mean that it is 100% physical. Every element has some of the social component. Physically, similarly, the social infrastructure also have some amount of physical component. For example, to establish a school, you need a physical space, you need a physical building, a physical land. Though its effect and outcome is social, it improves the social quality of a community. That is why it is considered as a social infrastructure or the facility. Now, coming to having said that, we will discuss little more details about the roads, this transportation system, because for any township system, any in any city, the network is the circulation network is very important to develop that area as an housing or as an integrated township. Now, there are various kinds of transportation system. It can be transportation system by air from city to city or country to country. There can be transportation system through water, from one point to the another point you can go through inland water system, or there can be surface system using road and public transportation system. So, under the road we have different kinds of road, the national highway road or the regional or the state highway road, and also we have urban roads like arterial road, sub-arterial road, collector road and local road, and other than this we can have rural road, which is very narrow road, and maybe the quality of the specification of the roads will be different. Our main objective or focus will be to discuss the dynamics of the major urban road and the other smaller level urban road, and how does it relate with the overall housing development. So, there are few elements which we should understand, the carriageway, median, divider, footpath, cycle tracks, service road and intersection, because after this few lectures on the planning, in the end part we have few lectures on the planning of the individual projects. There we will deal some of the elements of the this road sections. So, these are the pattern of the roads. This can be linear, it can be gridiron, it can be radial and ring, it can be radial. So, before I go to a comparative statement, let me tell you how the different kind of roads looks like, and how we how all the elements are placed to design a road. So, major road, what we discussed is basically arterial and subarterial. The meaning of the arterial is it's coming from the artery, which is the objective of the artery in our body is to circulate the blood from one part to another part. Similarly, in a city, the arterial road and the subarterial road, they transport or they help people to move from one zone to another zone. So, its objective is not to help you to access to your house. Its objective is to take you from one zone to another zone of a city. So, let us see how a arterial road looks like. So you can see that this area is kept for cycle track. This is footpath, and this is also footpath. And this is the median. So this is center line and the median of the whole road section, and this is the main carriageway where the high speed vehicles like public transportation, buses and all those will go. Basically we keep 11 to 14 meter minimum, so that at least 3 to 4 car can go side by side. This is 3 lane to 4 lane, and here we keep minimum 7.5 meter, so that at least 2 car can come then pass side by side like this. And remaining on this space availability we provide, but definitely for the cycle track 1.5 meter to 2.5 meter is the space required. So this is a typical section of a arterial road. So total width of the arterial road or right of way in short ROW is 60 to 80 meter. So 60 to 80 meter right of way. Out of that, this is the median and this is called divider, which basically divides the main carriageway and the service road divider, and based on the requirement and the space availability, this divider and the median could be used as providing the trees, for landscaping and for public convenience. So this is a typical section of a arterial road. So arterial road is a major road giving the access from one sector to another sector. I will show some example, definitely 60 to 80 meter wide. But if it is a subarterial road, then for subarterial road it will be, so it is the 60 to 80 meter. For subarterial road it will be 40 to 60 meter. The objective of subarterial road will be more or less similar, but only thing is this subarterial road connects the collector road with the arterial road. So collector road and the local roads are the next level of the lower level of road, which collects the trips from the or the vehicles from the local area, and they, after collecting the local vehicles, they put in the subarterial road, and subarterial road is connected to the arterial road. So I will show some picture, you will understand. So whereas the arterial road is 60 to 80 meter and subarterial road is 40 to 60 meter, it could have the service road and sometimes it may not have the service road. Sometimes we provide the service road or the separate service lanes using the movable divider. So we are not going into much details of the transportation planning or transportation design, because our objective is to give the overall overview of the each sector of the infrastructure and services, so that you understand in a better way, so that the next part of the planning, when you go for the housing planning, we can understand in a better way. Next, let us see how does it look like the other road or the minor road and the urban areas or the residential areas. So collector road and local road. So let us draw a, so for a collector road, your main carriageway will be minimum 11 meter, whereas your right of way will be minimum 18 meter, minimum, but it can go up to 24, 18 meter to even 24 or even 30 meter. So its main objective will be to collect the local traffic, local vehicle, and to connect with the subarterial or in some cases arterial road. And the local road is basically so for local road it is the 7 meter, so the two car can pass side by side and with the footpath. So minimum right of way will be 10 meter, whereas the collector road the minimum right of way will be 18 meter to it can go up to 30 meter. So if this is the arterial road of a city, then subarterial road could be planned like this, and collector road will be the second level of connection, and the local road will be even very small road like this. Right. So this may be a typical example. So you can see that the arterial road should have the junction not very frequent, very far away junction, but local road they could have junction very near junction, because the speed of the vehicle in the local roads are less, very low than the arterial road. So let us see a comparative chart to understand in a better way. The average width of the arterial road is 60, average width 60 to 70, 80, subarterial road 35 plus minus 10, collector road 20, local 10. Its main purpose is to connect the city with the zones. Same, the collector roads objective is to collect the local traffic and connect to the subarterial road. Its objective is to give you access to the plot, basically to serve as a local traffic. The interval between the junction for arterial road will be more, like 1 kilometer, for subarterial not less than 400 meter, whereas the local road can have a junction of about 50 meters. It can be having frequent junctions and interface with the slow traffic. The arterial road can meet with the slow traffic only through the service road, whereas the collector road and the local road, yes, they definitely meet with the slow traffic, because that is the objective of the arterial collector road and the local road. Then loading unloading or the plot access, whether you can perform the loading unloading stopover purposes, like coming down from the bus and getting boarding on a bus, those kind of the thing are done only through the service road for arterial and subarterial road, whereas collector and local road can provide this loading unloading and the dropping off facility. So this is these pictures I am showing again. You can see the major roads, arterial road and subarterial. This is the arterial road, and these are the another set of arterial road, whereas these are the subarterial road. The local roads and the collector roads are not shown in the master land use plan, that I have told earlier also. It is shown in the subdivision plan or the plot layout plan, which I mentioned, that will look like this. So in the local road, in the subdivided area or the plot layout plan, the local roads and the plots and the green areas and the community facilities are shown in a greater details. So to discuss, to specify this, we have how we as some of the norms and standards we mentioned in terms of dimension and its specification, but for any infrastructure planning or any services, we have the different kinds of norms and standards. We mentioned some of the norms and standards. The most important norms and standards related to planning work is the URDPFI. The full form of the URDPFI is Urban and Regional Development Plan Formulation and Implementation Guidelines. It is formulated by the Government of India, Ministry of Urban Development. So it gives you the planning norms and the planning methodology and the process for every level: regional planning, city planning and the local level of the planning. The National Building Code. The National Building Code of India gives the overall framework of designing of a building, any type of building and its services. The electrical code in India, they provide the the basis and the framework for designing the electrical installation and electrical services in a city. The Central Public Health and Engineering and Environmental Organization manual, they provide the norms and standards related to the sewerage, sanitation, water supply and public health matters. So, all the sewerage, sanitation and the public health matters, we definitely follow the CPHWO manual. So, including this, there are, apart from this URDPFI, NBC, electrical code and CPHHO manual, we have local rules and regulation, like every municipal authority or municipal corporation, they can prepare their own rules and regulation which will be followed as per the requirement. Like for any city, we make the master plan and then we make the housing development. So, for developing that particular housing project, we have to follow all the codes and also the local rules and regulation for designing the housing project. So, next lecture we will just touch upon the overview of the few other infrastructure like drainage, sanitation and electricity and solid waste management up to some extent, just to make you aware that how does it work, what is the mechanism in a city level or the township level, so that we understand. And then after that we will also touch upon the elements of social infrastructure and the service and the facilities. So, today we discussed the essence of infrastructure in the city. We told that infrastructure is divided into two parts, the physical infrastructure and the social infrastructure. Social infrastructures are sometimes called as community facilities, and the services are the tangible benefit which we get from the infrastructure. The water treatment plant could be a infrastructure which needs a capital investment, but the water, drinking water we get from it is a service, intangible element. Similarly, for some amenities and the services are required at the housing level or the project level. Some amenities are basically determined or considered at the on site or inside the building or inside the room facility, and infrastructure, services and the facilities and amenities, all these are planned as per the level. Some services are required at your room, some services required at your cluster level, that means the block level or building level, and some services are required at your neighborhood or mohalla level, some services will be required at the city level, bigger services. That is the crux of the discussion, and based on the requirement or the provision of the service, we can determine the buildability of the city, and we can go to the project to project design of the housing project. So, thank you for today. Next day we will discuss the other elements of the infrastructure development. Thank you.